Terribly sorry it took me so long. I just decided to restart the stream so I can go over the six successors and Pontus. So good morning anybody who is watching this video. I guess people are watching this as a past broadcast. I'm going to be going over every faction after I've done all of the factions anyway, and then make it a highlight and then upload it to YouTube. Today's the successors. And when it means successors is, it just means the successors of Alexander the Great. When Alexander died, his kingdom was split up into four mini kingdoms that were all trying to succeed him. The Selucids, who were the strongest, Macedon, which could retain former glory, Egypt, which Alexander himself had a huge impact on. I think the capital of Egypt was Alexandria, not Cairo at the time, and Bactria, which I already went over. So yeah, I'm going over those. I'm going over the three today, and then I'm going over Pontus, which is the last Eastern Empire that I didn't go over. They have some Greek units, but are more Eastern. I'm going to start off with the Selucids because, again, they are the strongest of the successors. So, I consider this faction to be the third strongest in the game. They have a bunch of units to select from. Their artillery is lacking, though. But yeah, let's start with generals. I've gone over these two units. Silver Shield Pikemen are well, are they? No, they're not. They're not the best pike unit in the game. However, they have the most armor for a pike unit. They have 44 melee attack, 28 weapon damage, 13 charge, 42 melee defense, 100 armor, 60 health, 70 morale. When it comes to high tier pike units, they do the same amount of damage per second as a regular pike unit, and maybe even pikes. It's just because they all tend to have the same weapon damage, or around the same weapon damage. Like they have 28 and pikemen have 24. Moving on, Silver Shield Swordsmen they're one of the two variations of Thorax Swordsmen. They're a good unit. They cost the same as Royal Peltas and Silver Shield Pikemen. The difference between them and Royal Peltas is melee attack. They have less melee attack, but they sacrifice it for being able to hold themselves in combat longer. Melee defense and charge is better, as well as weapon damage. They have 43 melee attack, 40 weapon damage, no bonus versus infantry, 27 charge, 67 melee defense, 80 armor, 65 health, and 70 morale. And they have used the whip. The Game Cav are I don't know how to explain them. They're a good shock cav unit. They are a better version of Hippeus Lancers. They have 10 more armor as well. 46 melee attack, 27 weapon damage, 10 bonus versus large, 76 charge, 21 melee defense, 70 armor, 100 health, 70 morale. Scythe Chariots. Did I go over these guys? I don't think so. But I've mentioned them before. They're good chariot units. They're the best chariot units in the game. And in reality, there's only two chariots in the game. Scythe Chariots and regular chariots that the Iceni have. They have 54 melee attack, 35 weapon damage, 45 charge, 29 melee defense, 60 armor, 100 health, 65 more. Hellenic Cataphracts I've gone over. Well, actually, yeah, I have. With Bactria. And I've gone over Indian Armored Elephants. See, they have a nice selection of generals. I think they have the most general select. No, they don't. Oh, actually, they do now. They do now have the most generals in the game. I've gone over all of these melee infantry. I've gone over all of these spear infantry. Have I gone over shield bearers, however? No. Shield bearers are your typical high-level hoplite unit. They have expert charge defense like picked hoplites and Royal Spartans. And they're a very nice spear unit. However, they lose to picked hoplites. They have 41 melee attack, 29 weapon damage, 20 bonus versus large, 28 charge, 57 melee defense, 115 armor, 65 health, and 70 morale. One thing I didn't really get into detail with is expert charge defense. I've been mentioning it a lot, and now I can confirm that it's useful for units that have a good charge bonus. Let's just say you're going up against the Thracians. You'll want units that have expert charge defense. So in a sense, RDA can counter like the Thracians because they tend to have high charge but low armor. Just thought I'd mention that. Moving on, pike units are all the same. Thorax pikemen I've gone over. Gone over pikemen, levy pikemen, and now silver shield swordmen. Pikemen. Skirmishers are all the same. A mix of Greek and Eastern skirmishers. They have two versions of javelins and slingers, as well as archers. They have Syrian heavy archers like the Romans. Agaba Cav and Hellenic Cataphracts I've gone over. Camel spearmen I went over with the Parthians. Light Cav I've gone over before. They're just a better version of the light horse that some barbarians have, but they're better against Cav, not as good against infantry. Citizen Cav I've gone over. Median Cav I've gone over, or even if I haven't, I'm sure that the Galatians have the Cappadocians. Median Cav, I'll just go over them. Median Cav are, I guess, a tier 3 melee Cav. They're pretty good, especially if they're going up against Cav, but you have to be careful when you're going up against infantry. 40 melee attack, 25 weapon damage, 15 bonus versus large, 34 charge, 35 melee defense, 70 armor, 80 health, 50 morale. And as at knights I've gone over because you can get them if you're playing as Armenia. I've gone over all these skirmishers. Yep. Chariots and elephants. Here's the interesting thing about Selucids. They have both. No other faction in the game has both. I don't even think Pontus has both. They have chariots, but not elephants. Indian war elephants I've gone over. I have never gone over Syrian armored elephants. I forgot what the difference was between these two. You can only bring only one of each. But I don't know why they cost 200 less. There must be some reason that I've overlooked, and they cost 200 less. They have the exact same abilities. Everything about them is the exact same. However, there must be some reason why they cost 200 less. I'm just gonna see if I can find it. If not, I'll just go over it when I'm off stream. Yes, here it is. You can only get them with the Beasts of War, which probably is the only reason why they cost less, but have the same stats. Artillery is the same. Strengths. This faction is pretty well rounded. They're quite strong when it comes to the melee game. quite strong when it comes to the spear infantry, even though they only have 3 spear units. They have 4 pike units and a bunch of missile infantry to choose from. 2 shock cav is good enough. 5 melee cav is really good for missile cav, and you also have the option to go with chariots and elephants, which is also always nice. Their weakness, just as they have elephants and chariots, it's so easy to mismanage these two groups. That's almost pointless to bring both elephants and sky chariots, because you have to micro them well for them to be extremely useful. They do not have a wide selection of spear infantry. This is good enough, but it's always better to have at least a mid-tier hoplite unit like regular hoplites or even thorax hoplites. Unfortunately, they don't have them. But that's about it for weaknesses. Like I said, they're a pretty strong faction. I would consider them the 3rd strongest in the game. Moving on to Macedon. Macedon is Alexander's birthplace. They're also a successor. Not that much different from the Selucids, except when it comes to like their choices. They just have different missile infantry and whatnot. They have the strongest pike infantry in the game, and that's about it. That's about it when it comes to strongest infantry. Before Emperor Edition, they didn't have Thracian warriors. Excuse me. Generals, shield bearers, royal peltas, and companion cav, which I was talking about in another stream. I think it was the last stream, and I said I'd go over them today. Anyway, first, foot companions, as I said, are the strongest pike infantry in the game when it comes to melee attack. They have 49, which is really good, nice. 28 weapon damage, 13 charge, 43 melee defense, 70 armor, 60 health, 70 morale. They're a nice unit to have, but like I said, high tier pike units tend to not be that much different from others, except when it comes to pike versus pike engagements, or maybe even city assaults, where you can use them to defend walls. Companion cav are a shock cav unit. They are the shock version and the original companion cav. I could not explain to you why they're historically accurate in this game, but I won't anyway. 46 melee attack, 27 weapon damage, 10 bonus versus large, 76 charge, 21 melee defense, 70 armor, 100 health, 70 morale. Good shock unit. Melee infantry is Thracian warriors, thorax swordsmen, royal peltas. Spear infantry, militia hoplites, Dario spears, hoplites, and shield bearers. Pike infantry is levy pikes, thorax pikes, and foot companions. And you'll notice that Macedon has 3 companion units: Aspis companion, and foot companion. And I think that's what Alexander used to call his elite infantry, and I think that's why they're called companions. I'm not 100% sure. I've gone over all of the missile infantry. They have Thracian peltas, Agrianian axemen, Cretan archers, and Rhodian slingers. I've not gone over Sarissa cav. The Sarissa is the same thing as a pike. It's what pikemen use for the most part. They have 34. These guys, I think, are the weakest shock cav in the game. They have 34 melee attack, 25 weapon damage, 10 bonus versus large. They have 51 charge, 14 melee defense, 10 armor, 70 health, 35 more. I've gone over these 2 already. I've gone over these 2 as well. Aspis companion cav, Emperors has them as well. Weaker. They have less melee attack than Campanian cav, but better melee defense.